Read anti-post tips from Pricewise for the Cheltenham Festival when you subscribe to Members Club Ultimate.
Hello everyone, you'll be amazed to hear that we're in a public house. The pub of the year indeed in Bleddington, the King's Head, and I've assembled a Cotswold brains trust with intimate knowledge of Cheltenham, unmatched at any preview from Ireland or from Cornwall to Caithness. On the left, Richard Phillips, trainer of a festival winner some years ago, rationing was still on. Willie Twiston-Davies, who's ridden plenty of Cheltenham winners, 3 to be precise, and much better jockey he was than Sam. And on the right, Johnny Humphreys, who has the distinction in life of doing a bit of driving for my good self and a bit of driving for Mr. Richard Phillips. And he is what you might call a local character, has been going to Cheltenham for donkey's years. And Johnny, you were there for Arkle's first week. In those days, you were a bookie's right-hand man.
Clerk, yeah.
Yeah, and you were in Banbury and you did all the... In those days, they had a man on the board.
On the board, taking the money, paying out.
And about a week before Arkle's first, you had a bet, didn't you?
Yes, we had a customer come in, well, phone up, and I was answering the phones, and this man wanted a big bet on Mill House.
How much?
1,000.
This is early 60s. Yeah.
With a lot of money. So I said to the boss, you know, I've got somebody on the phone who wants to have £1,000 on Mill House for the Gold Cup. And the man said, well, he can have the bet if he brings the money in.
The Reddies?
Reddies. So the man came in and with £1,000 and we laid him. And it was my day off on that particular day, Gold Cup day, so I went and saw Arkle beat him.
Well, the Graham was a big bet in those days.
Oh, it was, you know, half a crown, 5 shillings, 10 shillings, not too many pounds.
So that's when your first Cheltenham memories?
Yes.
Yeah. And those days, working for a bookie, there were all sorts of dodges and tricks going on, weren't there? Because people won't remember there was a board man. There were no screens in those days. You had to write all the runners out.
No television. No, we just had a blower.
Which was an audio shot. No TV.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you worked to that.
Yeah. And your spelling isn't great, is it? Because there was a non-runner in a dog race once,
yes,
and you put trap 3 vacant, but you didn't spell it right.
That's correct.
I can believe it too. Willie, you've grown up with this, with Nigel. What are your earliest festival memories?
I suppose being at school, used to go out. Well, yeah. I was at school and used to try every year for Best Mates Gold Cup. I'd try and tiptoe off to the toilet, and on my awful Nokia, I'd try and give a race line that Dad would give me. I'd ring and get the live commentary. And if I was lucky, I'd had one of the head teachers, Mr. Morgan. He'd let me go and do it or listen to it in his office. But I suppose Best Mate and Rooster Boosters, and obviously my first memory of Dad's winners were Fundamentalist.
Yeah.
I got a pair of colours for Christmas one year and rode the horse around the roads. I thought it was fantastic. But I suppose Best Mate, listening to him in the toilet in a cubicle was probably the funniest thing. And someone walking in listening to me screaming at Best Mate winning a fair Gold Cup, they probably didn't understand what I was doing. Probably thought I was bonkers, but that was it.
Well, they weren't wrong there. And Richard, your first memories?
Our first memories. Well, I wasn't as professional as Willie. I didn't actually go to school. So, cut a long story short, for 3 days of the festival...
You went to school, but you went home at lunchtime?
No, I always had a sick note off my father, who wouldn't be keen on me not going to school, but he knew it was the best homework I'd ever do. And I've been obsessed since, well, certainly 8, 9 or 10 years of age. I would literally, my teachers would know I would not come into school. Cheltenham Week. So, and my father...
Festivalises?
Absolutely. And all those happy memories of those great horses like Comedy of Errors and Lanzarote. It was just an absolute epic time. And backing horses like Pendle, when he got done on the line by the Dickler.
It was great. Dickler did it. 7 runs in the Gold Cup. Dickler won it once.
Absolutely.
I saw it again yesterday. Actually, you can't believe Pendle got beat.
No, absolutely. And named after a local river, as we know.
The Dickler.
The Dickler. No, not Pendle. But cut a long story short, again, love those days. So many good horses. Tommy Carberry, the Brockshee, Tide Cottage. He was my hero. And just watching him, like a lot of children my age, sort of getting on to mid-50s, God forbid, we had all those lovely times where we could basically, come on in.
It's a pub.
It's a
There
pub.
can be people walking through. It's a pub. Well, I hope there'll be people walking through, otherwise the place will go skin. Hurry up in the cheap seats. Come on, come on. And Johnny, you were that Persian Wars third champion.
Yeah.
That was some tour.
That was some achievement, wasn't it? It's been done since with Isterback, and I've witnessed both of them, you know, and to win a champion hurdle 3 times on the trot.
Because you've lived around here all your life, and
Yeah.
you've been the only man on no money a week who's been a hunting man for about 30 years. Because all those posh people who wanted to hunt on Saturday knew you were a good horseman, you ride them in the week.
Well, I was very lucky to get mounted on some good horses, yeah.
And they tell me, I mean, I couldn't possibly say this about you, but they tell me that those lads who worked in bookmakers, it was all readies and that sort of thing, occasionally at the end of a day, you might find a slip with 3 2 and 6 half-crown doubles and a shilling treble just might find its way into the till.
It had been known, yes.
Has it?
Yes.
I think it's a disgraceful thing, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
To back a winner after it's won.
Yes, or 3 winners in your case, because you're playing greedy. And Willie, other than fundamentals, great times for Dad there. And was it a couple of years ago he had 2 winners on the day?
Yes, 2 winners.
Which was Black Lion
Black Lion and Ballyandy, yeah.
And you walked in with him and he was scuffing along the stones in the car park saying, I hate Cheltenham. Why do we all bother about Cheltenham? Because he'd had a bad day before.
No, he throws the hump plenty, but I'm sure he'd have probably 15, 20 runners this year, and I'm sure if you can walk away with 1 winner, you know it's very good, and it's an awful percent strike rate drawn the rest of the year, so I'm sure it's going to be grumpy.
From I hate something Cheltenham to ecstasy in the next couple of hours.
No, he loved it. It's a massive thing for the family. I mean, there's another funny one. I remember when I was a kid and we had a big cross-country running race, and Dad used to take it very seriously. He used to love us running. The one year I was running and I was tailing off slightly, and now he started chasing me. I'll beat you, I'll beat you. So off we ran. No, it happened to be this day during the festival, and I said, you know what, I'll pretend I'm sick. I'll pay Sam. I'll give him 40 quid. Make sure he's saying I was being sick in the night. We were sharing a bed. So of course Sam went and did it in the morning, told him I was sick. I had 4 days off, never went racing once. Of course the Wednesday gets bloody winded off. So I'm stuck at home doing nothing all day. I thought, you know, I might as well have gone today. So I took the rest of the week off, and come Saturday morning Sam's got a bit of guilt, which I'd never have. And tells Mum and Dad that I'd scarved the whole week off for giving him 40 quid, and that was a funny one. And Mum had to write Mum a letter to apologise.
That year the gale blew off. That year when the gales blew the meeting away, I remember ringing Ruby quite early in the morning and saying, this is off, you know, because of the wind. And he said, I doubt it, or the Irish equivalent, and went to the course because he stays right next door. And the fact that Cheltenham ran all those races over the next 2 days was just amazing.
I had great viewing for the next 2 days when I was skiving off. It was fantastic, but the one day was awful. Watching Jeremy Kyle for the day.
Oh, desperate. And Cheltenham, of course, was full of people with money in their pockets because they were going to the races and nothing to do. So every pub and every restaurant was absolutely heaving. And great mob of Irish chums of mine sat down for lunch, table of about 16, and they knew if they moved, they'd never sit down again. So they sat where they were and had dinner about 4 hours later, and they ran out of beer in Cheltenham and they had to send for more. What did you do that day, Richard?
Went to Huntingdon. No, went to Huntingdon. Diverted to Huntingdon.
Your annual runner?
I did have my annual runner, one of my lovely seconds, that nearly won. I think Richard Johnson came along, because of course he wasn't earning money if it was wind. So he came along, and Sir Martin Broughton was the owner, along with Cherry Jones and a few other greats, and they diverted from Cheltenham to Huntingdon, and we nearly had a great day. It ran jolly well, but didn't quite get there, even with Dickie on, trying to win some money.
And what does Johnny call you, other than Richard? He always refers to you as that Henry Cecil.
Yes, correct. Greatest compliment I'll ever have, don't
Henry Cecil of the Cotswold.
What's he like to drive about the place? He keeps talking and
He's
gibbering.
good. He's all right.
Does he pay you?
Always a good payer.
Better pay than I am.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Yes, you would. And Willie, the big days for Nigel, obviously Gold Cups, things like that. I mean, what was that like?
Oh, massive, yeah, no, of course, big days for all of us. Whenever we have a fancied runner, the whole yard gets very excited by it, even if it's a champion bumper or
And
a big
how many
handicap.
go there? Obviously all the people with horses, but
A lot of the staff tend to disappear in the day and watch the first 2 races and go back again. It just depends how enthusiastic they are, but if not, a lot of them will go down the hollow bottom with a big screen and watch it all down there.
you must have been spent the first years of your life in the Hollow Bottom. I know you spend them there now, but that is some racing pub, and festival week is absolutely bonkers.
No, it's different gear, the memories on the wall, all the big pictures, all the big winners of our yard, and even sometimes there'll be the odd pictures of just special winners, but it's just an amazing pub, and there's no better place to go and have a pint and actually have a good argument with someone in the evening about what they've backed during the day. It's a nice place to be, I think.
And it's full of jockeys, most of whom shouldn't be riding next day, but we won't go into that. Richard, you trained a winner at the meeting, La Landière, cracking mare. Tell us about her.
Well, I was a bit lucky, really, that I got her. It's when we took over at Jackdaw's Castle, we inherited her, and thanks to Roger and Carol Scan, they kept the mare with us, and we nearly retired her, would you believe?
Why?
Not novice hurdling. She was lost her form. Novice hurdling. I always joke with Thomas Segal that the only horse he's ever tipped.
Seagull is his name.
Segal.
No,
and
Seagull.
he comes from Cobham, and that's why I'd say the Mickey. So the Cobham boy only tipped one of mine, I think, price-wise. It was Lalonde one day at Cheltenham, when she came second to a horse called Landing Light, who ended up running very well in a champion hurdle. And Nicky Henderson, and she scythed through the field that day with Richard Johnson aboard and came second again, funnily enough. But she had some very good hurdle form, but then she just lost her way a bit. And we thought we better...
Well, you were trained.
Yes, well, I was training her very well, And she just lost her form a bit, so we went over a chase fence. And she looked like a chaser, and we thought, well, we better try a chase fence. And she was second first time out, I think, to Impec. Yeah. And then she won her next 7, including the Cathcart, which was the best moment of my life, yes.
What was that day like? Do you remember much about it? I don't remember the evening, but what was the day like? You're going over this mare who won a hat full of races. How nervous, terrified, excited?
I think you're more, not nervous as such. I think it's all about doing a job. So I don't think I've told many people this, but she did have a snotty nose for about a week beforehand. So, and when people are telling you your horse is a certainty, and
You know it's ill.
well, I don't know if it's ill, without being funny. She had a little bit of a grubby nose, and we did a few tests and thought she seemed all right. But you're always worried at the back of your mind that something might be amiss. She was the shortest price favourite for years at Festival of any race, and it got even shorter. I think she's 5-4 or something.
This is one of Henry's tests.
Yes, exactly.
5-4.
I know. I think it was Best Mate's third win that day, so the bookmakers were being
So
hammered.
he's in the loo.
He's in the loo.
Didn't listen to that one.
I'm also in a loo, but for the wrong reasons. But just pure and utter relief when it went past the line. But I must admit, yes, it's why you do it. It's why
Who rode it?
Oh, Richard Johnson rode
I
it.
thought it was.
But even Warren Marston won on it, so it was hell of a
It must have
mare.
been some tools. Warren Marston could be spotted in this pub occasionally, like every other Sunday. And I listen and learn from the great man. And you play him squash and he beats you, and he's about 102 and you're only 23.
As he says to me, he says, Bill, I'm a natural sportsman with a great mentality, he says. And he's right.
Just cut there, will you? Say. With you, have a pint.
Looking for an edge in the market? Read anti-post tips from Pricewise for the Cheltenham Festival when you subscribe to Members Club Ultimate.
Welcome back to the King's Head. We've just been discussing things you could not possibly put out in any public forum at all, mainly about local characters, and all of whom, I think A to Z, got a slagging off, I think is the expression.
Yeah, they were very diplomatic and democratic, and they did all get from Z. We didn't find a Z, did we? We don't know anyone beginning with Z.
I'd say it was very positive, I think. It was very positive.
Let's have a look at the Gold Cup, lads. John, you've seen a few of these, going back to Arkles first. What's your fancy this year?
Well, being as I backed it, the one not won it last year.
Sizing John.
Yes. It's had a few hiccups, but I think she'll get it right for the day.
I think if anyone can, Jessie can,
But it's very, very open. It's one of the most open Gold Cups there has been, I would think.
Willie, what's your feelings?
No, I'm very in the sizing John Camp. I think one blemish you can forgive. Every horse has probably had one. I'd love to see Black Lion run, but he's not going to.
No,
I'd love to see him
I'm
run.
amazed that Nigel, who would run one in the Eurovision Song Contest, is not running Black Lion, but Aintree is everything.
Ages everything, and the owners really want to win the Grand National, so you can't blame them for that. But I thought he'd have a great chance considering the beating they give. Definitely better
There,
will
so what do you fancy of those that are there?
Yeah, you have to say Sergeant John, I think, and maybe as an outsider's chance, Road to Respect doesn't do anything wrong, and he's won at the track, so I think he'd have a good each-way chance, I suppose.
Richard, you got a runner this year?
No, just skipping Gold Cup this year. Might be coming a year too early. So, but I agree with Sizing John. I'm a big fan. Last year I was so impressed with him. Won in Ireland before he won the Gold Cup when he stepped up in trip. And when you think this horse was running over 2 miles behind Duvan,
Watching Duvan's pass for years and years.
the way he travelled last year and jumped, he just looked like a real class act and was a very good Gold Cup winner, I thought. So back to that form, I think he'll win. And interestingly, the year of Lalonde, would you believe, Jessica Harrington and I were judges at the Doncaster show of the 3 and 4 year olds, and guess what we made reserve champion? The mother of Sizing John. Yeah, so she's ended up training the son of the mare that we love so much as a 3 year old. Guess
You were bypassed for that, were you, after giving it an award?
well, funnily enough, they don't do it anymore. But, you know, I think we stopped. We were so good they thought they couldn't get any better than that. But interestingly, the mother won about 4 novice hurdles, I think, for Howard Johnson, and guess he was second in the bidding for it. We were underbid.
Native River, who won the old day at Newbury, goes there fresh this year. I mean, won the Hennessy and the Welsh National last year. And Colin Tizard went into Cheltenham last year with 52 runners without a win. Native River's tough as boots.
Well, Willie's got a view on this, but I slightly disagree. I agreed with Willie until the other day. I don't think he was quite good enough until the other day, when I was quite impressed with him at Newbury. And if you take the
further he went, the better he jumped.
He's a sort of Mr. Mulligan, isn't he? He's that sort of horse where he just keeps galloping. And if the others weren't on song, and he kept galloping. And last year he had a pretty hard campaign. This year he's had an easier one. And the man on board will be trying to win 40 quid, never mind the Gold Cup. So he will be pushing and shoving from a good 3 miles out, probably.
Jackie Johnson, he does come out and ride for you once a week, or?
No, when he lived close by he did, but when he realised how much it was costing him in diesel, he's made polite apologies. He will come in when asked, yes.
Do you pay his diesel?
No.
He's the man most frightened of the cost of soft furnishings in the world, because his missus spends plenty on that lovely house of theirs, and he comes around and says, do you know what a pair of curtains cost? It hurts him, doesn't it?
He's a very generous man, is Mr. Phillips. He paid 50 quid for me to do a stalls test once, so I think he's a lovely man.
I did. You're a very nice man to want
Did
to
he
go
fail
more.
the stalls test?
No, he didn't. No, we passed. He very kindly went to Wolverhampton to ride the stalls test, which had failed in its first ever race, and it shouldn't have, but it's a long story. But
Don't say blame me, I was
no,
on
it
his
wasn't.
back.
It wasn't your fault, it wasn't our fault, but it was New Year's Eve, and I think the starters wanted to go to a party, and it was a disgrace that it actually had to do a stalls test, because it's very good in stalls, and it passed it perfectly well. But because I'd given this young man such a hefty tip for coming along to Wolverhampton to do it, he then gave me a horse that he thought might win the next race, because he'd seen it run the time before. So I proceeded to put another £50, thinking I'd get my £50 back. So that day cost me £100, because it didn't win. But anyway, it was nice of him to think of me.
And really, you had a disaster at the festival, which must have hurt very much. Tell us about it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a nice day. We were the favourite last year, Foxtel Hill in the last race. Probably thought it was going in there with a nice winner. I was actually very relaxed for it all. Just what, you know, you're riding for your dad, it's not too much of a deal. Of course, the boy buried me at the corner fence, which we all now call Willie's fence. Whenever Dad watches the race, starts nudging everyone, watch Willie's fence. And yeah, no, broke my back. I didn't realise time, got up and walked off and thought everything was right, but all I cared about, you didn't realise what the pain at the time was. I was just so excited to ride Flying Angel on the Thursday in the JLT, and I had another book of 6-7 rides for the week. That was the thing that hurt. Watching them all and getting operated on the Friday, I didn't even get to watch the Gold Cup, and managed to pick the winner and I was asleep. It's not much fun.
Any other fancies for the for the meeting? What are your feelings? What's Nigel got tucked away? Come on.
I'd forgive the bumper horse if he turns up. Good boy Bobby, he was third the other day. He was the highest rated bumper horse before that. I'd forgive him for that. You know, he's had 2 hard runs. It was very soft ground, and Sam said he just didn't feel the same. If he turns up on the day, he'll have a great chance. And I think Holstone's obviously very easily overlooked. His Cheltenham record is ridiculous. I think the last day was probably a bit soon after he won the Rail Keel. I think the horse is, you know, you can't fault his Cheltenham record. He was third in the Albert Butler last year, and he's a very, very solid horse, and I don't think you can really argue with his Cheltenham form, and a very, very open stayers. Along with the new one, of course. If he stays, he'll have a great chance.
And what's Nigel like in the run-up to the meeting? Is he just more like Nigel, or does he get a bit frantic and frenetic?
Some years he can get very bad, and some years he can be very good. It depends how the horse is running up to the meeting, I suppose. But I have to say this year he's so relaxed because, you know, we've not got any really short price favourites, but we've got a team of nice horses, and he's third in the Trainers' Championship with 100 less horses than Nicky and Paul. So I think he's bloody happy with the way he is.
Richard, a couple of fancies for the meeting? May I just say, we did a preview, you and I, in this pub last year on the Monday night, and there was hardly a winner we didn't give, was it? I mean, just bonkers.
You were in excessive form.
Oh, could you let the best customer in the pub through, please? Cheers.
Stop him going. You were in particularly good form last year. I think nearer the time we've got a better idea. I fancy Rhinestone in the bumper. Came second the other day. Leopardstown behind Black Bow of Willie Mullins's. Joseph O'Brien trains Rhinestone by Monsieur. I think might improve for what will probably be likely a better ground at Cheltenham. So I think the value is probably one's 8 to 1, Rhinestone 6 to 1 Black Bow. But I think Rhinestone is probably the bet in the race.
Right, and lads, a favourite memory from the meeting. John, you've been going, you know, for 40 plus years. No, 50 plus years.
That's right, yeah.
What's one of your favourite days?
Well, I think it must be the Mare Dawn run, because I've never seen anything like it. The atmosphere coming into the winners' enclosure is brilliant now, but in those days people were just wild. There was hats.
And the way she rallied up the hill. And
I mean,
she was beat, wasn't she?
Fourth coming to the last, going nowhere. But I mean, and no mare's allowance as well, I believe.
I think it was a mare's allowance.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
But I mean, it was fantastic.
The magic.
It was.
All those hats and papers
you can
and
still see them there.
Yeah.
People fighting for their own hat, you know, trying to find, but it didn't matter.
Because you nicked them all. Right. Willie, favourite memories? Gold Cup, presumably.
Yeah, I suppose I got 2 really. One I couldn't remember, but looking back on it and watching all the replays and reading the book about it, it was Desert Orchid. My godfather rode it, Simon Sherwood, and when you watch him win, that is spine tingling. You watch all those old replays of him and the documentaries on him, they're fascinating. But I suppose it has to be one I can remember is obviously Baby Run winning with Sam, Imperial Commander winning the Gold Cup.
The film running up the. Nigel wouldn't have been running, would he?
Well, no, I was like a bull run, yeah, I suppose. Idiot let out of school for the day. Probably shouldn't have been seen.
But you whizzed up the horse walk. It was fantastic.
And then Pigeon Island, who's a great supporter of ours, Raymond Mould owned, and he brought up the treble, which no one could have ever imagined him doing. And the 3 of them on the day was just fantastic.
He came late, didn't he?
Very late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say Paddy Brennan, probably one of the best Cheltenham Festival rides you'd see. He snuggled him out the back. He did 10 stone, which he wouldn't have imagined a jockey to do after he's just won the Gold Cup. It's a fantastic day, and I'm sure it's probably the best day Dad will have, and best day I can remember for our family anyway.
Obviously, your own was great. Obviously, Londier was a great day. I had also called Dark. Yeah, Dark and Sharp was a lovely day.
Have you ever trained somebody to win 7 in a row?
Yeah, it was.
It must have been some tool.
Should have been 14 probably, but never mind. Give me another go at it. Had a horse called Dark and Sharp ran in the Grand Annual on his 3rd ever run. That was an extremely exciting day because the horse went round there like a little motorbike on his 3rd ever run, and that was nearly like having a winner. He ran so well that day. But I'd probably choose Isterbrack's first win because of John Durkin. I was with John Durkin the day he recommended it be bought, as he was assistant trainer to John Gosden at the time. And John was a great man, great friend, great jockey, great judge. And he, as many people know, suddenly became very ill and was unable to train Isterbrack. And Aidan O'Brien took over. And that day he won his first champion. In fact, won his first race at the festival, which was the 2.5 miler. It was just an emphasis on John's judgment, and all those that knew him, I thought it was just a real special day, and he carried on, win 3, and every time we thought of JD.
And it's as exciting coming up as it's ever been. I mean, you love it. I know you're driving me one day, you're driving Phillips, I think the other 3, I would imagine.
But when you leave the car park and get to the road, all you're looking forward to is Cheltenham next year. 12 months on from now. You know.
Well, I hope you make it.
Well, so do I.
I've taken the 7-2 again, and really it is exciting, and you've been at the heart of it, and Sam obviously at the heart of it. Will he be whizzing you in his Porsche?
He whizzing me in, he won't be whizzing me out, so I'll hang around for festivities after. But,
You're good at those festivities.
I have a lot of mates who come down, the 2 boys you met from London, and they get so excited by it. They just come down, it's people from London who work in the city come down full of excitement, just shows what the week's about, and I love it, I look forward to it so much, and the next 3 weeks will take a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard?
Yeah, without being corny, it's a celebration of the sport, isn't it? And so it's nice to have runners there, and this year we won't, and in the past we have, in the future we will. But even so, when it comes to owners and all associates, they all come down, it's just a celebration. Every race is important, everyone who wins every race, it's the greatest day of their life. And therefore, it seems to get better and better. And although lots of money spent trying to win it and all the rest of it, money doesn't necessarily buy you success. You could have luck, you could have everything on your side, but you know whoever wins it really appreciates it.
And that's we're going to close because it's only 4 hours till closing time. We got a bit of work to do.
Read anti-post tips from Pricewise for the Cheltenham Festival when you subscribe to Members Club Ultimate.